Hello, everybody. I hope, despite our late start, you will enjoy our meeting today. I have very special guest today, really very special. I am so nervous, even it's not my first interview with you, John, because you are the person who really changed the life of many people, and even people who have never read any of your amazing books, your library. They still know about women from Venus, men from Mars. It's like, I don't know, like everybody knows it, even people who has never heard about you. It's really a legend.
I appreciate you saying that, but I get always a little frustrated because people understand that the book title, they go, yes, I know the book title, but if you don't really have all the meat of the book, it's just thinking men and women are different isn't the answer. It's understanding how men and women are different makes such a difference to start a relationship, to fall in love, to keep the love, the long-lasting relationship. At every stage of the dating process and of marriage, we go through different challenges and they're predictable.
Yes, and I would like to talk to you today about dating and age or aging. Because what I see as matchmaker in my daily job, it's something like, what can you expect? You are 40. Or men, they are even more cruel. I'm 60 years old. I'm 65. I'm still young looking. And just because I'm young looking and young feeling, you know what I mean? So it means I can date, or I want to date girls who are 30 years old. And I always think, how? How does it work? What do you think about big age gap? Can it work for people?
Well, as long as if you're a man in his 20s, he hasn't yet thought about having children. If you're dating a man in his 30s, he may start thinking having children, and that will sabotage the relationship. A man who's already had kids, then that's a different dynamic as well. He doesn't want to have children. But I think it's great for older women to date younger men. And I think it's great for older men to date younger women. I have no problem with that at all.
Why?
Uh, Differences create attraction. Now, differences, polarity. Now, you have to look at, like, if you're 65, what is the purpose of your dating a man? You have to look at it. What I see is a younger man, it doesn't have to be this way, but a younger man for dating, okay, just to experience being feminine. Okay, that's a very powerful thing, which is today I see women going way to their male side. And if you go with a man who has very attracted to you, his testosterone, he's young, so he still has testosterone levels, that helps you connect with your female side. And many times you might find, well, he's just too immature, but it was fun to be with him for a while. But why was it fun to be with him for a while? Because he helps you come back to your female side. I think that as you come back to your female side, then you want to have someone who has the same maturity as you. Doesn't necessarily mean age, but it does need maturity.
Agree, but so I have now several clients who are 60 plus, male client who are 60 plus, and who would like to have children. Theoretically, it's possible. Practically, it's very complicated because we are automatically in the huge age gap, really huge. And what I try to explain to this man, it's possible, everything is possible in this world, but it's the question of your investment, financial, energy, your soul, everything. Because if you are much older, you have to be like father, I think. Or do you agree with me?
Well, if a man has waited till he's 65 to have children, he's an immature man.
You think
He
so?
hasn't grown up. I think in my own life, I grew up when I had a child. I was 34 years old when I had my daughter, Lauren. And I really grew up at that time. There's a place where to understand male psychology is that men only do what they have to do. And to the extent that he doesn't have to do something, he won't do it. This is why women often think men are narcissists and they're selfish, and men are not narcissists by nature. But if you think of this tendency that men have, which is never do anything you don't have to do. So you could be pouring on love and taking care of men, making him food, all these, and he didn't do anything back because nobody's asked him to do something. See, the potential is there. If you look at the most dysfunctional men who are out of work, because they don't have to do anything. They can't do anything. So there's no, I wake up in the morning because I have to do this. Are men who have a lot of money. They don't have to work. And are men who are at an age where they don't have to work and they retire. They die in 3 years. Feeling I have to do something produces male hormones, which completely changes the way we think. Unfortunately, what happened in the world, and unfortunately from one's perspective, is that men can now have free sex. Okay, when you can have easy access to sex, you don't have to marry a woman to have sex. They figured this out somewhere along the line when they invented marriage, which is they say, okay, you can't have sex unless you're married. So then men had to get married. They had to then take showers. They had to clean up. They had to behave in a way that women would want to have sex with them. Otherwise, men don't. Look at these single guys in their apartments. They're all junky, whatever. Not all, but they grow up. When you get a girlfriend, suddenly you try to impress her, you become better and whatever, because the major motivating factor in men is to have sex. This is who we are. We have the sex center in our brain is twice as big as a woman. Now, that's a teenager. All I thought about as a teenager was sex. How do you get it? Who's getting it? Why am I not getting it? Why is that person getting it? Who could I have sex with? Who would I like to have sex with? Who would I not like to have sex with? They did a study in the university showing that every minute men are thinking about sex. They had a little button that you would push every time you think about something on the subject of sex. You see a short skirt on a girl. Oh, that looks good. That's sex. You know, it's not like you're always thinking about intercourse or something, but you're thinking about, oh, he's probably getting sex. Oh, if I had a car like that, would I get sex? So I'm going to make money. The girls will like me. You know, you talk to rock stars, they all say the reason they learned a guitar was to get sex. You know, that and what's interesting is well, this is a side subject, but when men are playing that guitar, it's like women feel he's playing me. It's very stimulating. But also to be a rock star, I'm just taking one random example popped in my mind. To be a rock star, it takes huge discipline. See, there's a lot of masculinity that you have to, you know, and a lot of solitary sense. For me, I developed my masculinity by being a monk. You know, meditation and fasting and silence and being alone. These are powerful testosterone stimulators. But any man who has a discipline, who's accomplished or achieved something, that's very attractive to a woman because he has male energy. So I know we went off the subject a little bit. You want to talk about these guys who wait till they're 65 years old to want to have kids.
Yeah. Because you said that those people who wait too long to having children, they are immature. It's really interesting point. I didn't think about it from such point of view.
He's just thinking, and so finally he's grown up and now he wants to have children. And what's unique for men is that they can have children at that age, and they have a younger woman, because women, they run out of the ability to have a children unless they freeze their eggs. And I recommend to all women who are like, you want to be independent and everything, just get your eggs frozen so that when you decide you want to be feminine, that you can raise your children. Because so many women regret. I have a lot of clients of women who are 50 years old trying to have a baby. You know, it's a huge, complicated process and whatever. If only she had frozen her eggs, it wouldn't have been so complicated. But you know,
this frozen eggs, it's really interesting thing. It's a very cultural thing because I live in the UK, and I have a lot of business with people on the continent in Germany. And for these people in Europe, frozen eggs is something like, I don't know, like flying to the moon. It's quite normal, quite normal in the States, but not so usual.
Well, I'll tell you what's flying to the moon for me is that women in their 30s who don't want to have children. Okay, to me, that's like so out of balance with your body's nature. At least if you're going to live your life out of balance, know that one day you'll have enough maturity to come back into balance, maybe enough life experience, you wake up. But culture used to give wisdom to people, a kind of support. if a woman is making plenty of estrogen in her 30s, she'll want to have children. She'll make it a priority. You know, one of my clients, she says, I got to have a man because I want kids today. She's 29 years old. I want kids now. You know, I was okay. She got a guy, you know, basically her main priority is I want a man who's got a good job and I can have my kids. So she found one. Because she had the motivation. If you don't have enough estrogen, you kind of go, I'd rather make money. I'd rather be independent. I don't want to be dependent on anybody. Because having children, I mean, there's two choices for women. You want to have children and be alone? That's a tough job. Okay. That's a tough job. If you have children and you have a man that you can depend on to help you, you'll have the energy to make children. You'll have a healthier delivery. You have all those things because to make a child, your estrogen levels have to go really, really high. And having sex with a man produces the highest levels of estrogen. And having a relationship that made you want to have sex with a man also produces high levels of estrogen. And today, our culture doesn't support that in happening. There's no education for women. And I'm not
It's exactly
against
what I want. It's exactly what I wanted to add when you told that being young, being teenager, the only one thought was about having sex. But now these boys, even they have the same body, the same development, the same hormones, they're not allowed to do it. They're not allowed to say it. They don't allow to show it. So it means men are becoming less men, and a big part of your book, just because they're really not allowed to be men.
Well, I won't say that not having sex. If a man, look, I was a monk for 9 years. I did not release, I didn't masturbate. 9 years of pure celibacy, no woman, no sex with myself, none of that. That's just, to me, sex with yourself is probably the most disgusting thing I could think of. And now boys are just, it's the norm. You know, I had one man think that, in one client, he told his fiance, he says, you know, I'm having a problem with low testosterone. My doctors tell me I should take testosterone. And I said, what's the symptom of low testosterone? He says, I can't masturbate every day, as if that was a normal thing. This is sick. This is a sick society. But you have to realize that almost every teenager is having masturbation twice a day. Almost every teenager. We'll make room for a few that aren't just doing it once a day.
I don't want to ask my sons how often. I don't want to know. I don't need to know.
That's right. It's disgusting. What it is our society has gone, everything's the wrong direction now. Was it the United Nations, their new, the United Nations has sexual education guide that they're disseminating all around the world, which is teaching children to masturbate at third grade. Third grade, learn to masturbate as a form of loving yourself. It's the number one thing that lowers testosterone in males. And already we have a crisis of low testosterone in males. Excuse me for the big planes flying over here. If you hear that big noise.
I can't hear. I can't hear. But I genuinely think, as a mom, that we are not allowed to get kids too early, get them involved too early in the sexual life. I think kids should be kids.
I didn't know anything about sex. You know, I remember climbing a rope one time and it caused an erection. I thought I discovered the secret to life. I thought, who knows about this? This is the most amazing thing ever. You know, I didn't know any. I was in 8th grade. You know, we had all these hormones of attraction. So you'd have a girlfriend, you'd kiss her, you'd touch her breast maybe, and sometimes something else. But I didn't even know what intercourse was. I didn't need to know that. You know, this was, you know, I do explain to my children. I did read a little book, which is about how babies are made as men and women come together, penis goes inside. It was like no big deal. No erotic message associated with it. And one time, that was it. So I do believe in some sex education from the parents, not from some stranger. I didn't know it was some stranger, and I don't want some gay person telling my child about sex. You know, I'm not against gay people. I have friends who are gay. I don't want a gay person telling the details of their sex life to my child. This is not appropriate. And they're doing it now in America. This is insane. And you know, we call it the woke culture, and it's people are waking up and saying no to it. It's going to be ended soon. This is absurd.
I hope so, because for me, culture is reading books, reading good books, classical literature, going to the theater, and not put in the heads of the kids who should discover themselves, and it's quite complicated in terms of hormones, and some crazy people tell them what to do and how to think, especially this thing with changing of the gender. I think it's unbelievable, allowing teenagers make this decision about changing the gender.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah.
It's first of all, what people don't understand, a little boy, okay, is completely molded by his parents. A little boy has the testosterone levels of a little girl. There's no difference. There's really no hormonal difference between a little boy and a little girl until puberty. At puberty, a boy will have 10 times more testosterone. A girl's estrogen levels will begin to soar as she has her period. So that's where girls actually start feeling what it's like to be feminine, and boys get to feel like what it's like to be masculine. You're not supposed to feel so much before that. But you can see that children naturally come out. Boys deal with things, girls deal with personal things. It's just simple. It's personal and impersonal. And they've observed it in so many children. However, depending upon the conditioning a child gets, a little boy might play more with dolls. Depending on the conditioning a girl gets, she might play with trucks. And then there's also something called personality differences. Even today, some women just like driving fast, but mostly men like driving fast. But some women like driving fast. Some women like lifting heavy weights. It will only make you not be able to make babies, by the way. The more muscles you have, the less estrogen you have, the less you're going to be able to make a baby. And so infertility goes up with all these women jogging around all the time, wondering, why can't I make a baby? But it's not just that. There's a lot of factors here, but we do know that the simple factor is, if you're a woman, are you making female hormones in abundance? And if you're a man, are you making male hormones in abundance? Now, every man can easily make female hormones. It's the easiest thing in the world for men to make female hormones, not the easiest thing for a woman. Okay, easiest when you're tipped out of balance. When a male is out of balance, he has too many female hormones. When a woman is out of balance, she has too many male hormones. If she's on her female side, she's in balance. But there is an exception to this. There's a place where if a man only has male hormones and doesn't have enough female hormones, he'll be a psychopath. Okay, a psychopath is a man who has testosterone without estrogen. A female who is infertile, for example, which is an imbalance in her body, she's making too many male hormones and not enough female hormones. But there's a case where women can make too many female hormones, let's say, and she'll be also experience extreme anxiety. And this is historical. This is interesting information. It's in that book behind you, but my editors kept asking me, because I had two female editors, why do you keep wanting to put this in the book? Because I wanted to explain history. There's this whole thing about women were not allowed in politics, and you'll see in some of these movies, women say, oh, I can't make a decision, and they'll faint. Fainting was a very common thing for certain women. 25% of the population, going all the way back to the Greeks, were depressed. They had hysteria. Okay. They couldn't handle stress. And what that was is too much estrogen and not enough testosterone, because they weren't allowed to work. So the working women didn't have hysteria. The women who worked in the fields, who cleaned the houses, who served the rich people. But the elites were women who were not allowed to do anything for themselves. So when a woman's not allowed to do anything for herself, she will have all kinds of anxiety and depression. That was what came out in this, I think it was the 70s, early 60s, the Stepford Wives. It was a TV show of these women who lived, and they were all taking, pills to get high and whatever, because they didn't have jobs. They had husbands who took care of them. They're all wealthy. And so they didn't work, and they didn't have children, because having children is work. But what happened with the elites is you send your children off to somebody else. You have a nanny to take care of your kids. Okay. So if you don't have a job for a woman, whether it be a parent to children, or it's a job serving the community in some way, without a job, women don't make testosterone, and they will have anxiety. But if women have a job and they don't make enough estrogen, they will have anxiety. So these are all stress states of imbalance. But in our culture today, typically, women are way on their male side, men are too far on their female side. whenever
Absolutely agree. And so it's really interesting. They push each other, because I work with couple as well. They push each other on the wrong side, because women say to men, oh, you have to listen to me. You have to understand all this question. How do you feel? After you book, I said, don't ask men, how do you feel?
That's
What are
right.
your feelings? It's wrong. You destroy all testosterone immediately. A man, what they do, when we are together, are you going to work the same hours like you? Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. You've got the message. Let me throw in a few more ideas with that.
Yeah.
When a woman, both deep inside of every human being, there's this aspect of who we are as humans that is a blend of masculine and feminine. But basically, we all need love. Okay, men need love. It's just, women need love. This is another subject. I'll quickly do it. Love is like ice cream. There's different flavors. And when you trust a man, that's the love that raises his testosterone. When you don't try to change a man, that's the love that's called acceptance. That's the love that will raise testosterone. When a man does something and you appreciate it, you don't find fault with it, but benefit from it, that raises his testosterone. Now, women like those kinds of love. Some people trusting you, accepting you, and appreciating you, but that's making testosterone. That's not usually what women need help with. They need help with producing the estrogen. So messages of love that say, you're important to me, I care about you, I love you, I'm here for you, I understand what you're going through, I don't judge you. If you need my help, ask me for help. I respect you, I honor you. Those are the messages that allow a woman to feel, oh, I'm getting what I need. I'm getting what I need. That's receptivity. That produces estrogen. So those are the hormones that women typically need the most. So we all need love, but love, what it is a connection. Okay. Love is connection. Now, when we're connecting with each other, there's two ways to connect. Think about a hole and a rod. Now, the way they connect is the rod goes into the hole. That's called sex. Okay, we go like that. Now, if a woman wants to connect with a man, she has a choice. She can become a penis and go inside, or she can be a vagina and let him go inside of her. So which do you want? And men only have one hole, and I don't think you want to go in that hole. So men are designed to go into the woman, and the woman's designed to receive. Just think of the simple way of connecting. This is the tightest connection you can have, right? This is a nice connection, but this is the connection that couples can have, which is a higher level of love, felt love and connection. Now, when you have that felt love, you want that. So now if a woman, suddenly she's the vagina, but she closes off and now she becomes a penis, busy doing, and trying to penetrate into him. What do you feel? What are you thinking? What's going on? What you should do better? I want you to pick. So she's over here being like a mother or an insecure wife trying to penetrate into him. What does he become if he wants connection? He becomes a vagina. Okay. Literally, a woman being on her male side pushes a man over to his female side in the same way that a man on his female side, which understand the symptom of a man on his female side is he's not doing anything. He's relaxed. He's passive. Okay. When a man is passive, he's way on his female side, or he's addicted to something where he's depending on something outside himself for his happiness rather than himself. So I'm depending on alcohol, or I'm depending on drugs, or I'm depending on watching football games all day long, whatever it might be. He's depending on something external to make him happy. Well, how does that make a woman feel? It makes her feel very masculine. Well, then I have to do everything. He does nothing.
Yeah.
I do this and I do this, and I have to do this and this and this. And look, he's doing nothing. And I have to do all these things. So my passivity makes her more masculine. Whereas my masculinity, if I'm helping and supportive and attentive and interested in doing things that provide for her happiness, she can relax. She can go into her female side. Not all the time, but she's getting a good dose of, I have balance to my nature, which is to be both masculine and feminine. See, man's nature is, we have 23 genes that women don't have. We have all the genes women have, except we have 23 extra genes. Every little boy in the womb is a little girl until the Y chromosome, which is different in males. That's how we distinguish male from female, is the males have a Y chromosome. That Y chromosome, its function is to create 23 genes. And what those genes do in boys is override many of his female genes. They just push them down. So literally, I cannot connect with my female side fully unless I have a woman. A woman, however, can connect with their female side and male side without a man. That's why you'll see that women can go much more easy without men. Women can do, after a woman is divorced, quite often statistics say it'll be 9 years before she gets married again. There's exceptions, but 9 years before, and many times she doesn't get married again.
Yeah.
A man, within 3 years, he's married. This is your average male, because we have to have a female. You can't live with them, can't live without them. Okay? There's that challenge that men go in, then they got to go out, but they got to go in, we go out. If we want to feel love at a higher level, see, estrogen is love. And because we have more testosterone, we have more muscle mass, we can never feel as much love as a woman unless we go inside of her. Literally, when we connect with her and become one with her, then we get to experience the balance of the masculine and the feminine. And you can see this expressed hormonally. There's no time ever when a man's estrogen levels can be so high and also have testosterone be so high as when he is having an orgasm with a woman, okay? Or when she's having an orgasm too. These are these high levels of connection. And isn't it great if we can do that? Not everybody can do that. That's, not everybody has the ultimate life. Some people are very content being together. And even that, they live longer than everybody else. On average, married couples live longer and are healthier than people that are not married. Even though they might be struggling. Somebody said to me, what if it's a toxic marriage? Well, if they stay together, they're still, on average, they're living longer.
Yes, they have their own reason to stay together, because arguing each other, it's also the reason, because arguing, it's like adrenaline, and you feel better and you feel alive instead of being calm and relaxed and bored. So yeah, arguments.
Some people are addicted to drama, and what drama is called make-up sex. I don't recommend make-up sex, although I think in my marriage there's a few times where we did argue and say, yell, and I don't do it anymore, but we yelled at each other and then we forgave each other afterwards. That's important. We forgave each other afterwards. We saw, okay, I'm sorry I did that. I said that and I didn't mean that. Boy, we had the best sex after that ever. Yeah, it's because you get to get in touch with how you feel. But you don't have to have drama to get in touch with how you feel. When you have the good behaviors in relationship, you can particularly focus on providing a safe place for women to express how they feel and for men to listen. And if a man can listen, women can more easily sort out their negative feelings and look at the bright side of life at the same time. So here's how women process negativity. Okay, the way we're built to process negativity is we have a prefrontal cortex. I'm coming back to the biology again, okay?
I like it so much.
When the blood flows to the left prefrontal cortex, we tend to be optimistic, see the positive. When the blood's flowing to the right prefrontal cortex, we tend to be pessimistic, negative. Okay, so you can measure this in people's brain function who are pessimistic, who are optimistic. But we're designed to have both. See, they're both. That's what real life is about. You have to, in a sense, you have to see there's a problem. And then with the other part of your brain, you go, and yet here's the solution, how we're going to learn from this, how we're going to grow from this. And now there's a problem, and here's the solution. Well, it turns out that the hormones that go along with here's the solution is testosterone. And the problems that go along with estrogen, or they go with what's the problem? It's estrogen. So when women basically need more estrogen, all they have to do is talk about problems. Now, but they have to discipline themselves to not just talk about problems, but also find a solution to those problems. Okay, you can't just stay stuck in the problem. Now, what is the solution to all your problems is how to change yourself. If any problem I have that's affecting me, the only way I can solve that problem is to change my reaction to that problem. Okay, so if I can't change the reaction of the problem, then the only way I can feel better if I've talked about a problem is somebody else has to solve that problem. Okay, so You have to change. So women get addicted to depending on their partner to change before they can feel love. So I have so many women that will say to me, I say, you're not really very loving to your husband. What do you mean? I love him so much. Well, sounds like you're always talking about what he's not doing. He's not good enough. And she says, yes, but if he would just change, I could express that love. If I would just.
Oh no, it's wrong. It's wrong. She has to start the opposite way.
That's
She
right.
had to appreciate the little things he did, support him, give them this acknowledgement, and then he will change. And that's the opposite way around.
Now, what you just said, the answer, which is, but for her to feel better, what I say for women is you need to have somebody, which is a counselor, a coach, a friend, who you're not trying to change. Then if you talk about your feelings, you're not trying to change someone, then your brain can easily shift gears to focus on, okay, what's the positive side of things? Things aren't all so gloomy. They're also really good. And you can even get to the place where you have a good guide, which is as a counselor, you help women to realize that, and how am I contributing to the problem? And how can I solve the problem? So we have to find both sides. But for women, I'm very patient in my counseling with women to first deeply hear what they're feeling. Because when they can talk about, and they feel safe to express whatever they're feeling, like I hate my partner, I don't know if I want to stay married to my partner, things like you wouldn't normally say, all right? So that's why when I counsel, most of the time, I only see the woman alone. Because for women, they need to go deep and have somebody hear what we might say is the unloving or ugly part of them. Okay. They can be so judgmental and so critical, and they think they're being loving by pushing that down, but they don't realize that it's not your words. It's how you're feeling inside. So man's getting that message, but he has no way even to react to it. So at least if you put it into words, you can have an argument, but he can't even react to it other than just being sort of knocked down by it. So when women can't express what's inside, so that's why you need to have competent therapists, priest, whatever it is, where you share what it is that's going on inside of you, knowing that, first of all, you're not going to be judged as
not judgment. Yeah, I wanted to say no, not be judged. Yeah,
not judged. So you're not being judged. And when I hear women, I can easily say that's not loving, but I also know there's a loving part of you. But so the voice has to come out with a place of understanding that this is not representing all of who this woman is. See, that's what I can do because she's not trying to change me as a therapist. But her husband, when he hears those things, he'll feel like so defensive. He'll get defensive. It's human nature to defend, and she won't be able to get beyond it if he's getting defensive. And if she's sharing her negativity in a journal where she's just listening, or she's sharing it with a friend or a coach or a therapist, whatever, and she's not trying to use those feelings to change the therapist, then there's a release that takes place, and she can naturally shift gears to look at what is the positive side of things. Because remember, we're supposed to look at the negative, we're supposed to look at the positive. You balance things out. And I remember when I learned this, most everything I've really developed is all my personal experiences and then research it out. But one day Bonnie was annoyed by me, my wife, and she was annoyed. You could just see she was holding back. Something I did must have annoyed her. She's just stressed, right? So I gave her this hug. I said, honey, let me give you a hug. And her body language was stiff. Okay. But I do like a 6 to 8 second hug. And that day, at least an 8-second hug. So I was just hugging her. And after about 6 seconds, then she softened and they started to enjoy the hug. Now, biologically, studies have shown that it takes 6 seconds of non-sexual touch and oxytocin gets released, which helps a woman to feel safe. So now she could relax. But then afterwards, she told me, she said, that was such an interesting hug because for the first part of that hug, I was thinking of the things that you haven't done that you said you're going to do. Okay. And I was annoyed by that. But then after about a few, halfway through, she said, then suddenly I started remembering all the good things you do as well and how lucky I am to be married to you. And the tension was gone. So this is the way the brain operates. Look at the negative and look at the positive. Don't just look at the positive. Don't just look at the negative. Look at both. But as far as communication goes, don't communicate your negative to your partner if you're trying to change them. And that's usually the only reason women will share their frustrations, their disappointments, their worries, their concerns, is they're using their feelings to try to get them to change. And when you do that, men will only resist it because you're trying to change him instead of love him. Because loving someone is allowing them, embracing
Without
them
condition.
the way
Love
they
is without,
are.
it's without condition, because love, it can be, but the really interesting thing, in the last month, I asked women from very successful couples, why do you love him, or what do you love him for? And
Very
really
good.
interesting. Yeah, it's really good question, because we women are more emotional, and it's constantly up and downs. If we know what for us, it's easier to return back to our normal
Yes.
condition, because we know our reasons. And it was really interesting. They all said, I love my husband very much because he is good father, good sex. I don't, it was always 3, 4 huge main reasons to stay with him.
So you're making the point, which I love, is it's important for women to articulate to themselves again and again the reasons why I love him. It's very, very important. The reasons why I love him. Now, what's interesting, I'm right with you there, and that was a great question to ask these women, is to articulate. It's why in my books I say this is what a man can provide for a woman, because so many women today, particularly single women, will say, I don't need a man. Why do I need a man? They don't know. Why do you need a
Can I,
man?
can I tell from
Yes,
women's
yes.
side? They say it because I constantly hear it, I don't need, I'm strong, independent, I have my money. Why should I be with him? But I feel like everybody depends. It doesn't matter what age, what appearance, overweight or slim skin. It doesn't matter. Inside, always little pink princess. And if they say, I don't need men, it's really trying to get this attention that somebody tried to convince her to change her opinion. So it's really expectation of that somebody will try some arguments to convince her. It's not true. It just mask, from my opinion.
It certainly is a mask to prevent them from
Yeah,
feeling the insecurity of their female side.
yeah,
When you're feeling afraid nobody's going to take care of you or be there, or feeling unworthy, why would somebody love me? Then you're going to naturally, you're going to go, well, then I don't need somebody. Okay, this is that's the defense reaction. It's a mask we put over ourselves to not feel what we feel. You're reminding me of one of my favorite stories. When I was a little boy, my mother would read it to me. It's called Aesop's Fables. Aesop's Fables, a wonderful book of stories that always have an insight with them. And the one that I remember the most is the story of this. It's called Sour Grapes. It's of a fox who sees the grapes on the hill. Oh, those
I
grapes
know,
look
I know,
good.
I
I
know.
want to have the grapes. And he
Green,
goes, and then
green.
when he gets to the grapes, he can't climb the fence to get the grapes. So then when he walks away, he says, I didn't care about those grapes anyway. They probably were bitter. What do I need that for? And so that's to keep us from feeling the pain of not getting what we need, is you just negate what you need. And today, to avoid feeling the pain of not having companionship, not having someone adore you, not having someone love you, not having someone as backup for you, safety, security, companionship. Those are the things what women need, and they need them more as they become more independent. So this is where, that book you had there, Beyond Mars and Venus, comes into play, which is the more independent a woman is, the more she needs a man, but for a different reason. What women needed men for in the past was money or survival, protection. That's one thing. But once you have that, you can do it yourself. That's your male side. Look what I can do for myself. I don't need anybody. Then there's, unless somebody points out to you, but what you do need, and imagine how it would feel if you had a man just attending to you, caring for you, driving you places, driving in a way that makes you feel safe, a man who doesn't get angry with you, a man who doesn't seek to control you. These are all the qualities of masculinity, but many of these women didn't have a father demonstrating what you can get out of a man, okay? And it could be that the father was just at work all the time, but we have a new man here today, which is if you're a woman who feels I have a need for emotional support, affection, warmth, reassurance, attraction, somebody who's attracted to me, loves me, cares for me, understands me, does not judge me, does not try to change me. That's possible. But if you don't train a man, it's not possible. That's the thing. And men aren't trained to do that. We're trained to make money, and we don't have any idea.
This is my next question, because you wrote in your book, and I know it from my clients, and my female clients complain about it. Many men, especially who are long years singles, they don't have enough testosterone. Definitely, they don't have it. So they talk too much. All these signs of being more on female side. Is it possible for women to move men somehow without changing them, to move them more to this male side?
Yes, you're not trying to change him. You're bringing out the best in him. So
Yeah.
let's talk about how easy it is for me to change my wife, and then you'll see how easy it is to change a man.
Okay.
Let's say my wife is exhausted, and I say, come to her and says, honey, let me do this for you. I'm happy to do it, and you need a rest. So why don't you just do what you like to do for a little while, and I'll take over. How do you feel right away?
Great.
Great. Immediately, because I took the male polarity of I'm in service to you. I'm happy to do this. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm not irritable about it. I'm glad to do it. Your happiness makes me happy. So go do something that makes you happy. Or if you want to share with me and do it together, that's fine too. See, immediately when I take the male polarity, she will go to her female polarity. So the point I'm making here, you can see how easy it is. Okay. Every romantic gesture, the whole story of a romance is when a man is doing something for a woman that she could do for herself, but she doesn't have to. I want to that's the essence of what romance is. And romance is high estrogen. That's the whole, how to raise women's estrogen levels is doing anything for her that she could do for herself, but she doesn't have to, because he wants to do it for her. Not that he has to do, he wants to do it for her. Then this is what you can get out of a man. But to understand, you have to know how to do it. You're not taught how to do it, because the world we come from, women were not so independent. And if they were independent, they were unhappy. So here we have women being independent. What is it they're missing? Well, they will say it. I feel like, he's not attentive to me. He doesn't understand me. He doesn't care about me. Or as you're pointing out, and I want to underline that, now, because women are on their male side so much, men go to their female side. And so when they come home, they're in a bad mood, or they're tired, and they complain about their job, or they talk about their feelings, or she criticizes him for saying, oh, my feelings are so hurt. You can talk about his hurt feelings, and you don't appreciate me. He whines, he complains, or he gets mad about stuff, raises his voice. Who are these men? What happened? Okay. Well, the one side of it is these are men who are trying to connect with a woman on her male side. But when a man, if you're on your male side, the only way I can connect with you is I become the girl. And when a man becomes the girl, it's dysfunctional. Just as when the woman who basically her husband's sitting on the couch, she feels she has to do it all. So she goes to her male side. She's dysfunctional. She's not happy. She's feeling resentful. She's looking at what's wrong with him. She's judgmental of him. And she'll always feel like she knows better. These are all like critical things. It's just men need to feel admired. And if you're on your female side, it's easy to admire the qualities of masculinity, but you have to learn how to bring that out of men, because after all, let's just look at fairness here. Who changed the dynamics between men and women? Did men suddenly want to say, I want to stay home and raise the kids? No.
Women. Always women.
Always women. And that's a good thing. Women, they're always going to create change and how to make the world better. It's just they haven't gotten to the other side of the brain, which is, now I see the problem. What's the solution? And the solution is, now you're on your male side. How do you come back to your female side? Now, interesting, the way you come back to your female side is using a man. Because if you use a man to come back to your female side, his testosterone will increase because he's doing something for you. When men feel like I can do something for you that will make you happier, our testosterone goes up. Why is it that when men are in a bad mood or dissatisfied in their marriages or they want a divorce, always what they say is, gee, no matter what I do, it's never enough. Nothing's ever enough for her. Can't do enough. Because men want to make a woman happy, but clearly they don't know how. So how am I supposed to know? You have to let me know, but you have to learn a way to communicate that, as opposed to your instinctive communication, which is if I'm stepping on your foot, you complain, you always step on my feet. Why do you step on my feet? Instead, you have to learn to say, oh, honey, when we dance, would you be careful of my feet? They're so sensitive. You have to ask for what you want without a complaint. That's a new skill. That's a whole new skill.
Yeah.
Every woman, when she does, and you did mention it before, that sometimes women will say, asking a man what he feels, how foolish that is. I agree with you. Sometimes you want to have conversation. What you can do is, instead of how do you feel, stay away from that word, go into the word, which is, well, what do you think about that? See, you want to, women are, because see, what men do when they're a little stressed or they have a problem they're trying to solve, they become quiet. Okay. Think about for a million years when men are in danger, what do? You become quiet. You sneak up on your prey. You hide from your prey. You don't make noise. You're quiet, quiet, quiet. This is not women. Women are in danger. They yell and scream. Somebody will come and help me. So it's two different realities. We're wired up in such different ways. So when a man is quiet, a woman panics because she goes, why is he not talking? Because often when women are mad at a man, she'll stop talking. That's her punishment. Well, I'm not going to talk to you. I don't trust you. I'm not going to open up. So when a man is quiet, there's a fear reaction that can happen inside of women, and they need reassurance, and they seek reassurance in the wrong way. They say, well, what are you feeling? Don't ask him what he's feeling.
What do you think? What do you think?
Well, what do you think is for conversation. But in this case, you just simply say, we have a process that I say to women every day to make it a part of your relationship, to simply say, do you love me? And he says, yes. How much do you love me? With all my heart. Do you still think I'm beautiful? You're so beautiful. Am I most important person for you? Yes, you're the most important. Are you happy you married me? I'm happy I'm married. These little questions of insecurity, because you are feeling, are you mad at me? So you wouldn't start out with, are you mad at me? You start out with just this simple exercise, which is so positive, getting a man to say the words, I love you. Okay. So, and what's interesting is some men who say, I love you all the time, women don't want to hear it, because when that love comes in, part of them is sort of in this grumbly state of, well, then why'd you forget to pick me up? And why didn't you call me? And so just showering a woman with love doesn't always work. What has to happen, it's a two-way street. She is the one who needs to hear it. So she opens her heart. She has to say, do you love me? But you do this as an exercise. I call it a biohack, which is to hack the hormones. Anytime a woman needs more estrogen, all she has to do is say to someone who loves her, do you love me? Yes. How much do you love me? With all my heart. Do you think I'm beautiful? Yes, you're so beautiful. Are you glad you married me? I'm so glad I married you. Are you angry with me about anything? No, I'm not angry with you about anything. These are the scripts he has to say. And what's so important for a man is when a woman is vulnerable, because very vulnerable. If she says, do you love me? He says, well, do you think I'm beautiful? He says, well, you could go to the gym. You might, or, hey, honey, you're getting old. You have to tell him, you can't be logical in this situation. You have to give me the reassurance that I need. Just say the words. And what's so interesting is when I say those words to my wife, we do it every day. Every day is always, we do it at some point, sometimes while making love, sometimes outside the bedroom. Every day she gets this reassurance that, do you love me? Do you care about me? And you can think it gets boring. Occasionally it's a little mundane, but it opens the door for those feelings to come out in a man. Men need help to bring those feelings to the surface. Otherwise, we know we love you, but we don't fully feel the love. And every woman knows she doesn't always feel his love. And why doesn't she feel his love? He may not be feeling it, but she's also not feeling the part of her that will draw it out of him. So that's a powerful biohack right there. I mean, this is like amazing, that process. There's other
in Russian language, we say that men, they love with eyes and women love with ears. It's exactly what is your advice.
So much. And we also say that the most important sex stimulation in a woman is her ears. Okay. It's all, I also think it's good hug, lots of hugs. Another biohack is 4 hugs a day, non-sexual hugs. Women need to feel the contact around there. And here's what it is. Before I started doing this for my wife, I could care less about hugs. But once I began to experience how she appreciated those hugs, Then I want to hug those hugs. Then I miss having those hugs. So it's a learned behavior for men that when I'm hugging her, I'm not just getting something for myself. I'm giving something to her. And what I've given to her is now a gift to me. So this is back to, my wife thinking I'm such a selfless, amazing, generous guy. I tell her, look, I'm so selfish. I'm so selfish because I know what I want most is a happy wife. I want a happy family. I want great sex. And I know the way to do it. And all men would agree. They just don't know these little things that you have to do. And that reassurance exercise is one. Hugs is another one you have to do. Another one is men, don't talk about your feelings to your wife unless it's, I love you, I care about you. And women say, I want to know what he's feeling. Well, do the exercise for 2 minutes every day, and you'll get your reassurance that you need to know. Because women go, well, I want to know what's going on inside of him. That's because you're afraid he doesn't love you as much. And he doesn't have the ability to feel that love, particularly if he's worried about a problem or something like that. He disconnects from his feeling of love. All you have to do is do this little game for a few minutes. He'll feel his love more. Just as when you make love, a man will feel the greatest love he can feel. This is why sex is so important for relationships. It's what fills a man up. It fills a woman up to get into the bedroom and want to have sex, but then that's what takes her to the highest level. So we need to have good intimacy skills in the bedroom as well as outside the bedroom. Both are equal.
I have, I can hear you for hours, but we are running late, and one last question.
Yes.
Question. Personal question. How does it feel for you to feel that you impact the life of so many people?
Well, I don't feel it until somebody says it. And when you say that, then I go, oh, so good. Okay. It's, for me, it was wonderful when I used to be so famous. I mean, I still am famous, but people don't recognize me. I'm not on TV and everything. I used to be on TV all the time, which, by the way, they canceled me. I don't know if you know this. I'm not allowed on national TV. I was canceled in the year 2001.
Really? What did you do?
I was on every single national TV show. And in one day, I was now considered a sexist. I used to talk for all the corporations. And in one day, they don't call anymore because Human Resources, HR, says I'm a sexist. Because anybody who says men and women are different is a sexist in their mind. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, we're only two biological
ways. We're so different. It's so different. I just love talking about the research showing how different we are. But anyway, having said I just got canceled, I forgot what your question was, and I want to answer it. What was it?
How does it feel to be real influencer, not just influencer on TikTok, but the person who changed life of millions of people?
It feels terrific. It feels terrific. And everywhere I go, there's not a day that passes where somebody doesn't tell me that I changed their life. And that gives me such a level of fulfillment and keeps me motivated. People go, why don't you get bored with your talks? I said, well, when I feel somebody wants to hear what I have to say, I'm suddenly not bored by my talks at all. I love sharing this information. It's not work for me at all. It's a great privilege. It's a joy. And I feel really happy because of it. And
thank you so much for this one more amazing interview, and thank you for your time. And I made notice. I learned again a lot of new things from you. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.